Just tell them you're going to line. Just tell them you're hungry. It's starting. It's starting. Hey, we're up there. We're live. There we are. He's eating pistachios for the start of the show. That works. Okay, yep. There you go. Well, anyhow, we're live up here, and now Terry's with us, and I don't see anybody in here yet, but I'm sure somebody will be along here soon. That's normally the way it works out. Oh, we got our first person now. Make sure that we're not sounding like Mickey Mouse or or they can hear us or something. So okay, testing, testing. Okay. Now I heard that, so I know it's working. The delay. Wow. Okay, so I'll just cancel and go back again because I don't know why you're not here. You're not here, are you? Okay, for whatever reason, Jerry's not being heard. So give me a couple minutes, and I'll be back live again. Okay, well, I got you on the audio side this time, so this time you should be heard.
You say so.
Okay. So now all people got to do is just let us know if they hear you.
All right, hold on. Yeah, I'm good. We're good.
There you are. You're good this time.
Yeah. All right, we're good.
I thought maybe we had an issue just by the way it was acting.
Yeah. Well, it's good now. Now they can, it won't look like, just mouthing shit.
Did you just mouthing shit, not talking? Oh, okay.
I don't even remember what we were going to talk about tonight. I knew it was something.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Give me a second to remember this.
It was only a little while ago we were talking about.
I know, we had so much that we've talked about.
Was it like people that, the sheeple? Oh, now I remember.
See, that's good.
It was that we need to tell people to stop waking people up because they're waking up right into the hands of the New Age movement and waking up right into what these, the New World Order, the Illuminati, right into their hands. That's what we wanted to talk about.
There it is. That's better. Yeah. Waking people up, and then you wake them up right into the hands of the next psyops, the next lie.
Yeah. And that's what they're doing. They, part of we saw so many plans like at Fetzer Institute where they had like those programs called the Awake program and this and that, where some of their programs were all about awaking people up, and that didn't make sense. But when you start to look at it in the whole picture of things, in the history of these people, in the 60s they wanted to raise consciousness, and that way people were protesting against the war. There was the whole degradation of the people that would care and that would do something about changing things, in particular the younger people, waking them up, and then sending all their gurus out there like Timothy Leary, like the Grateful Dead, which was MK Ultra, is, I mean, to the Grateful Dead were the government. There was deep state. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Phil Lish and Bob Weir, both members of the Bohemian Club. So whether you like it or not, this is what they did in the '60s. They had a consciousness awakening. Then they had all their gurus to captivate them, and I think that's what they're doing now. That's why you have the Alex Joneses, you have the David Ikes, you have these psyops here and there, and you have the gurus bringing them right into where they want them, and it's to create division. It's there's so many different reasons why they're doing it, but the problem is now that we see they're doing it, we need to understand is that we need to get people away from those gurus. And if more people wake up, they're just going right into the hands of these gurus. I don't know. I would say when I first woke up, I would say good 80 to 90% of the people that were awake that I was coming across or meeting or befriending or whatever, they were all, posting things about New Age movement, all these different, the light path, love and light, all that bullshit. Of course, I've slowly weeded them out and gotten rid of many of them. But what I realized is, and going through all this stuff and learning this, is they're they wanted this, for whatever reason it is. So if we're waking people up, they're falling right into the path of this New Age movement. And whether some of it's true or not has, really no meaning. Because if you're falling for it and going along with it, you're still going along with their shit.
Well, that's just it, I find a person wakes up, they really need to wake up on their own. Because when they wake up on their own, then they're more inspired to go want to learn more.
Yeah.
And as they learn more as they go, they start seeing for themselves, and nobody's having to point it out to them. So, and if you have somebody else waking you up, how do you know what they're telling you? What if they're off? What if they fell for a psyops and they're waking you up to BS? Then you go, then you go right down the same path, and you're not understanding what's really going on. So.
No, so few people. I mean, even when you tell them, they still don't really understand. Because it's tough. It's tough to get the real truth out there when the gurus and the government, what do you call it, agent provocateurs, are the ones running the show. So how do you convince somebody? Oh no, the person that has everybody paying attention to him is the fake one. It doesn't. And here's the thing: the truth will never be popular.
No.
And I'm gonna say, me and Bill tell you the truth all the time, but you want to know what? We gotta understand too that we can't care whether or not people out there watch or listen to us. That is so very important for me and Bill to not give it. We'd love for millions of people to listen, but we also understand that we can't care about that happening because that will, become part of us becoming part of the agenda. Going along with the bullshit. So it's so very, as much as, you should never tell your listening audience, we don't care about you. It's not that we don't care about you specifically, because most likely if you're listening to us now, you are one of the few people that we do care about because you had some common sense. But we cannot care about the masses, listening or getting millions of views. That's just something we can't care about.
You can't be here for that anyhow, because if you're here for that, you're here for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
It's just like making money or moth tool off of doing this. I'm not here for the tool. What I've done from my heart. And it's because I want what's right for everybody. It's not about popularity. It's not about making money. It's about getting you to see what's really going on. And the hardest part about that is people are so mind raped today that you can't even get people to leave their home, let alone get them to understand. I mean, the psyops are big. How many people was on 153 over this week and seen the video that we posted up with me and Jerry? We were talking about the Bundy Ranch. Cliven Bundy scandal, how he's being painted out the hero. So I was curious how many of you people realized that his cattle was eating sand.
The old-fashioned sand cattle.
Yep, them are sand cattle. His cattle was feeding on sand because
Mm-hmm.
they obviously wasn't fighting over grazing rights. Because when you Googled the address and went to the location, there would have been nothing to graze on. So how could they be fighting over grazing rights? So that first off should have been big red flag. But though my big red flag came back in 2014 when the entire scandal over the Cliven Bundy Ranch first took place. Because the first thing I noticed was Roy Potter at the scene. And anybody who knows who Roy Potter is knows if he was there that this is a psyops.
Yeah.
It's a lie. It's a psyops.
With those long-term agent provocateurs and people like that, these lifetime actors, I think that might have been another reason why they took out Bill Cooper there, because I mean, him being so involved in the militia, he would have been able to call that out right away. That would have never made it anywhere. All those, especially being from where he is. Never mind the fact that, I love one of our great listeners sent a picture to me and Bill, and it was the Masonic flag outside the Bundy Masonic Lodge in, I believe it was Tucson, Arizona, something like that, somewhere in that area. So you might be a Mason when they name the lodge after you.
Okay, people.
Or your family, yep.
We're going to be here. I'm going to let Jerry continue to talk. You won't see us for a couple minutes because I'm going to bring somebody into the show. So just bear with us, but we will stay live, okay? You're just going to see a black screen for a little bit, okay?
Oh, you sure you have to back out and you have to go back in?
Yeah, because I've got to bring him into the...
Okay. Well, do that.
So you just go ahead and keep talking, and I'll bring him in.
All right. Yeah. What was I talking about? The Bundy Ranch and how they have their own Masonic lodge.
Yes.
And I don't think it was named after Cliven Bundy, but I believe it was like one of the relatives. It, just the fact that there is a Bundy Masonic lodge, and that the Bundy family is one of the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. Hi, Warren.
Hey, you got to pause that. I don't hear two different conversations going at the same time. Like you now and you like several seconds ago. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, yeah, I just got Bill was coming out, and then he has to drop the screen out and then come back in, and that's why I was just talking to fill up that space.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, so what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about the Bundy Ranch, and not too far away from the Bundy Ranch is the Bundy Masonic Lodge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's no coincidence there. There just happens to be Masonic lodges around all these areas, and all your top celebrities and politicians belong to some form of Freemasonry.
Oh yeah.
And
sometimes I don't understand, because every time you come, and I was gonna say I don't mean to insult Masons, but I'm going to, because let's face it, they're basically losers. Every person I've ever come across that was a Mason is a loser. They're not like cool people to hang around. They're all evil losers. They're lowlifes. And I think when it comes to lower level Masons, that's what they go after. They go after people that are going to be more malleable, people that go along with the agenda. And if you do that,
the lower order ones, I think some of them mean well, but it's kind of like it is in the military. Like some of the grunts mean well, and they think they're there to do something good, but they don't understand is that they're just pawns. They're not the upper echelon of their organization. They're not looking at what their leaders are doing.
Well, I don't think most Masons even realize, that they'll never be able to go that far up in their own lodge. Well, some maybe in their local lodge, but go that far in the Masons, because when you get to the higher echelon of the Masons, it is a bloodline thing. And there's even Masons out there that aren't Masons. In other words, there's people out there that bloodline into the Masonic, hierarchy that are more powerful than them, and they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
But,
I come to find out years later. I didn't know this. I mean, I knew apparently my grandpa, right? And I'm the spitting image of him. He was actually a former Special Forces Green Beret, fought in 2 wars. And after the war, he got out with the Purple Heart, I think, in Nam, I believe. And he became a Shriner. And I always thought growing up that he was just like a 3rd degree, like no more than that. I found out much later on, like that he was actually 32nd degree.
Yeah, well, you have to be, I think, right? He's 32nd degree to get in the Shriners, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't even get in the Shriners till you're up there, and then.
That's kind of alarming to me, man. I mean, because the thing about my grandpa died when I was still crawling. I don't even hardly remember him. I don't remember nothing about him. So.
Yeah, so Warren, so you realize that the Bundy Ranch, the Clive and Bundy Ranch, you ever hear of sand cattle?
Nah.
Well, them are cattle that graze on sand. I came up with that terminology after the address of the Clive and Bundy Ranch was brought up. It's right in the heart of the desert, and remember, the entire fiasco was over grazing rights. So since there's nothing but sand, cactus, tumbleweeds, and rock, I mean, obviously they must have been grazing on sand then, right?
Well, what's the most important thing in the desert?
Well, water is the most important thing in the desert.
Well, guess what? That land sits on a shit ton of water, believe it or not.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of hassle and a lot of legal crazy shit that's been going on over that particular land with water. That particular land, that water that sits on that supposed property and the properties around it.
Yeah.
It feeds Lake Mead, and we know how Lake Mead is, how important it is to Las Vegas as far as their water. That's their water supply.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more than what they're telling us, and that proves in its own right that it's a psyop, because that should be the first and foremost thing. It's so important what's going on with that water.
I see it in a way. It's kind of like this generation's Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah, kind of, but they're making him all more out to be like a star, and
Yeah.
And I've read a lot of articles where they're showing how because if you look at the land battle they had up there in Oregon too, and how that was all a psyop. So not only that, is they named their son Amun, which is like the devil of the 7th gate of hell. I mean, and I don't know how many Christians out there name their children after demons.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting, ain't it?
Well, if you're a Mason, it would make sense. A high-level Mason would name their child after the demon of the 7th gate of hell.
Amun-Ra. That's what you're trying to say, Amun-Ra.
No. Amun-Ra is Amun. It's basically when you say it, it sounds the same, but the way they spell it more like the demon. Okay, because there's a demon Amun, and then there's Amun-Ra, which is more like a Jesus figure.
Okay.
So there's two differences. If they went the other way with the spelling, but they didn't. They went with the demon of hell spelling.
It's crazy how much people don't know about all this stuff. Like if people were just educated a little bit on cold hard facts on how these things. I mean, there's nothing unique or original written in the damn Bible, man. All these Christians, man, it's like I don't realize, man. And I'm not saying it's to knock Christians, man. People believe whatever they want to believe, but I mean, there's nothing original that was written in it. The whole thing was plagiarized.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's So, it's the easiest way to write something. That's the easiest way. Yeah. When it comes to writing language, script, scribes, grammar, language, that's basically what MK Ultra is, or mind control is. Mind control is nothing new. It goes back to the pharaohs. We see it in the modern day as MK Ultra because that's what got popularized. But the mind control has been consistent through the ages, just taking different forms. I mean, I think the MK Ultra thing was more or less, they made it into a scary joke thing. So now when they do practice those old traditions, those pharaonic mind control things, people just laugh at it.
Well, what happened is it started off in the beginning with being, the priests would come in with their organized religions and their money systems, right? And in order to get people, to pay their taxes, they had to be able to line them a certain piece of land, because people used to be nomadic before us. They said, they will introduce agriculture. And if we get introduced agriculture, that means people can grow these crops on this land for themselves, which means this plot of land is theirs. So we got to find a way to tax them on this plot of land. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would tie people to a piece of land they have to work to pay for. And that's kind of like agriculture. The agricultural industry was a big part at really kickstarting a lot of this stuff too. If you go way back in ancient times, because the agricultural society led to the industrial society, and the industrial society leads to the technological society.
And now technology is just going to kill us.
It is.
Yeah, that technology is going to kill us.
That's what the technology is doing, It's sort of like Terminator, the movie Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look around you. We have artificial intelligence. Look at the mindset of people nowadays. They can't even have a conversation without typing it to each other on their cell phone or their iPod, and they would rather spend all the time typing than to say what they could have said in a half a second on the phone.
Yeah, and again, this is going to bleed into transhumanism, because the more people integrate with the machine, the more they gradually become machine. And they don't even have that machine in them, but they're already learning how to talk and how to conversate based on typing on a phone, which is a very dumbed down language. You just pointed out, because what are you going to possibly talk about of any value text messaging? Or when it takes you 10 minutes to say, could you swing by the store?
Yeah. Well, that's part of social media, is dumbing down our language. If you look on Twitter, just read what people write on Twitter. It's like, really? That's not even a complete thought. It's like incomplete thought, and then a meme. People have forgot how to form complete thoughts because they've been forced to shrink down what they have to say into just, minute little segments.
Sometimes, man, you don't even know what you're reading, man, because sometimes, man, people have all these like on the spot abbreviations for shit, man.
Well, that's what they want. They want to destroy the language. Yeah.
They'll just put a bunch of letters together like it stands for something, but you don't know what the fuck it stands for.
Well, that's Winston Churchill's. I believe he said, you control the opponent's language. It's easier to control their language than it is to just bomb them. You could bomb them into submission, but you already control them if you overrun their language. So, controlling people's language is very important. And, they're transforming the American or the English language, the version of, British bullcrap, but they're transforming it into what they want. Segmented thought. Incomplete thoughts makes a dumbed down person that cannot fight.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's all about the numbers. You got to have
a little bit of intuition too, man, because sometimes you're going to come across paradoxes that are going to throw you for a loop, man. It's going to try to send you off track. And you got to have a strong sense of intuition, and you got to be bold as fuck, man, and be willing to challenge yourself, even, man, in order to to really get past those things, because they'll throw those hurdles out there. I've been through several of them before, man, where you're faced with conflicting information that seems to cancel itself out. You're faced with a paradox, and you got to try to find a way. You got to rationalize your way through it. And what you got to do is you got to be patient. You got to be calm and patient. I mean, you got to be bold, but you got to be calm and patient, man, and wait for an explanation to fill itself out. Try to look at things from all angles. And a lot of times, answers ain't going to come to you right away. I mean, a lot of times it's going to take time for answers to come to you. But when you have it, man, when it comes to you, you're going to have that moment. Like, there it is. I found it.
And then you got to write it down. I've seen so many people, they find some great information, but then they just keep on going too far down the rabbit hole. And next thing you know, they lost their thought. That's why I've been telling people lately this past week to download those mind maps, or even if you learn how to draw one yourself. If you're researching something, write it down. You write down some information about the person you're researching or the idea you're researching and how it connects to something else before you move on to something else. Because, you start researching something and then people jump to the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing, and they forgot what they were doing in the first place.
A lot of times if you just follow the money, man, like I look at truth seeking as playing detective. Like my life goal is to play detective, like the ultimate game of the detective. Like I'm trying to crack the puzzle of life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's something I'll never 1% completely get, but it's like, why not live for it? Why not try for it? Then I can at least say I can put in my best effort. And that's all any of us can really do.
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem I've always had with, trying to find the answer for life, it means once you find it, what do you got to live for? But I'm not saying that you shouldn't have puzzles that you should constantly be looking for, because that's what keeps the mind strong, is by, is trying to figure out things for yourself, whether it's a mechanical puzzle, whether you're, have a project, like Bill knows, he knows I'm always building an invention or trying to figure out something.
Oh, I love it.
To me, the key to life is not so important, because, once you find the key to life, then what? All right, I know it all. I got the key to life. Nothing else can beat that. What do I need to know? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's essentially essential to, for people to know. Most likely it's not meant to know. The key to life. Then what next?
Well, yeah, I mean, some things you're not going to know, but I'm saying it's like one of those things, embrace those who are seeking the truth, run like hell from those who have claimed to have found it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I like that. Yeah. Run like hell from the people that have found the truth, because when they found the truth, they're full of shit.
Oh, yeah. If they know the secret to life, I would agree. Run.
Yeah. Run.
Because they don't know the secret to
people
life.
who are at least looking for it, though. But are humble enough to admit that, hey, I haven't found it. I mean, I know what I know, but I don't know no more than that.
Well, no, the ones that seem to have found it always want to sell you something, like the preachers.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is this. I know there's life after death, but can I say how, when, where, what it's going to be like, or anything about it? No.
No, nobody can.
And it's only a theory from my own experiences, so who am I to tell somebody else what it is? Nobody. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, even subjective experience or something like, look, there's personal truth and there's objective truth. And personal truth is something that maybe you've experienced something that amounts to evidence for you to believe something is true, then that's personal truth. But if you can't reproduce that evidence on any kind of objective format, then that's,
Well, that's the trick. You just described the trivia method. You got to use grammar, logic, and then rhetoric. You got to use that whole procedure so that you can translate that truth that you found that makes sense to somebody else.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to prove it with the logic that you used to prove that own truth that was self-evident to yourself.
And once you've proved it, you've done what you can do. And for the people that ain't awake, I mean, I have to agree with Jerry on some of the stuff he says about, if you're not awake, you're not welcome on my page.
I don't mean to be mean or anything, but, it's like a waste of my time,
It's one of those things, man, and I know a lot of people in the truth community are like, well, yeah, I mean, I get it, freedom of speech, and I'm all about freedom of speech. Everybody, they're free to say whatever they want, but, like, when you're trying to have a discussion with the adults and the children get involved, it does nothing but derails the conversation, and information doesn't get out the way you need it to.
It's a waste of time.
So,
that's it.
Yeah.
That would be like bringing a devil's advocate into the show. You're wanting to speak truth, so we're going to bring this asleep person who's not awake that just wants to be a devil's advocate into your show. What is that going to do to what you are talking about? People are going to come out confused, and you just destroyed anything you want to talk about.
No, I mean, every individual has the right to decide who they want to listen to them. Yes. You know, when you just say, I want everybody to listen to me, because, you know, those are the kind of people that just want everybody's money. They want something from everybody. Yes. You know, they don't care who they get it from. Well, I care about who hears what I have to say. And if there's somebody that's not awake, they're not going to get anything from what I say, and they're going to waste my time from talking to the people that are awake, that I want to understand what I'm saying.
If somebody could come at me with an intelligent, valid point that they actually disagree with me on something, I'm open to disagreement. Like, if they can come at me, they can make a valid point, you know, I'll listen. You know what I'm saying? Even if I don't agree with them, you know, I mean, you know, that's fine. We don't have to agree. Me and Bill don't agree on everything 100% of the time. I mean,
but a person that's not awake, there's no reason to talk to them, because there's not going to be an understanding, because there's two different levels of understanding.
That's correct.
So there would be a waste of time. Total waste of time.
Well, you know, it's not possible. Just the one thing people don't understand. There's no two people that will ever agree upon every single subject there ever was. That just doesn't happen. Okay? So, you know, even like with Warren and I, we have disagreements now and again and things, but do you see me and Warren calling each other names and fighting with each other and hating one another? No. Why? For one, Warren's my friend. For two, we understand, or I understand, and Warren understands that because we don't agree upon something, don't make Warren wrong and it don't make me wrong. It means we have different opinions upon that thing, so we learn how to agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
the only other thing where I don't like dealing with is the new age people, because they fell down. I look at them. I look at them as like a different type of sheep. Yeah, well, I mean, they haven't studied enough or researched enough to understand, you know, where the new age movement came from, where there's new age. It's not as if all these ideas are wrong. You know, it's just like the shills. They always give you 70% of truth, so you believe 30% of the lie. And I'm not saying you shouldn't believe in any of the new age movement. What I'm saying is right now, because of what the new age movement is doing to so many awake people, you can't support any of it, because we're in a war against those people.
This new age is going to be the new one world religion that's going to be forced upon the world. You know, it's going to be a very Orwellian type of mindset, man. You know, slavery is freedom, ignorance is strength. And you're already seeing this, man. It's a very dangerous mindset, man. I think that because it's going to be done under scientific dictatorship, right now, if you look at the scientific community, what you got like the rigid atheist, right? They're not going to go for a lot of this new age stuff, right? But there's going to have to be a bridge there between the atheists and the new agers going into the scientific. Into the scientific dictatorship. And I think I know what it's going to be. Let me explain here. I think I know what that bridge is going to be. I'm going to explain this because they're going to use a fake alien scare. And I can concretely prove back to time and again that there's plenty of evidence out there for a fake alien scare.
Oh, they're already doing it. That's part of the MK Ultra program. And you know, that's where we found so much of this alien stuff is part of the MK Ultra program. So I understand what they're, you know, it's already happening. It's not that they're doing it. It's already happening.
And they're going to use this fixed evidence because right now the atheists don't believe in some alien astronaut theory. But if MSNBC News came on with quote proof, end quote, that they made contact with alien life and that they seeded us here, they'd believe it in a heartbeat.
Oh God, how right you are. They would so fall for it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like that. the emergency alert that went out in Hawaii, and how many people, you know, I'm like, it's a psyop. You know, but it was really on the news that it really happened. Yeah, but the whole thing was a psyop. I mean, I was like, you know, I was trying to explain how I worked at a radio station, and you know, we had to learn how those boxes, those emergency broadcasting systems, actually work, and they're a double fail-safe system, so you don't have accidents with those systems. So if they had an accident like that, it was bullshit.
Yeah. Have you ever done any looking into the Raelian?
The what?
The Raelian cold.
I don't know. Which one is this one?
There was a preacher by the name of the cold. His name was a French god named Rael, and they had this UFO cult where he promotes world government, he promotes world currency, he promotes, you know, the sexual revolution movement, all the damage that is done. He promotes all this other fucking globalist shit.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
movement.
I studied enough French history. There's no way in hell I'm gonna trust anybody by the name of Riel.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
it's got government print all over this shit.
Spies. The French produce wonderful spies.
It's got government print all over that shit, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a giant gold. It's probably the world's biggest alien gold.
I mean, there's been a lot of cults that have popped out of France, especially Eastern France. You know, they've got a history of that shit. And you know, just go to the Rothschild's house.
Yeah. Now, you know, I wouldn't say that there ain't no such thing as an alien, as we would call an alien. I'm just going to say anything that you're hearing from online, anything that you're hearing from media, all BS.
Well, I mean, you know, you gotta put it like this. This is the problem when it comes to aliens. All right, before Aldous Huxley drew the picture of a gray alien, when was there ever any reports of aliens?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know. You know.
The father of MK Ultra draws a picture of aliens, and then all of a sudden there's aliens. And then you had what's his name, Fuller, the one that wrote the book about Betty and Barney Hill, and you know, he was part of the MK Ultra program also. So yeah. I mean,
well, that's it. I mean, I'm 100% with you. I'm just only making a simple statement that I would never
say there ain't.
Yeah, I would never go as far as saying there ain't no such thing, because we can't prove there is or is not life on another planet. Okay? I'm only going to say that anything that you're hearing that's been brought up, Jerry made a very valid point. It was never heard of until, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
the Reagan administration spoke about wanting to use an alien scare. That was back during the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he had the whole Star Wars program. They're already prepping for our era.
Yeah, I mean, and what better ploy to use to unite everybody under an invisible boogeyman, a global threat, to unite the world into this one world. We are one. Let's come together. Sort of globalist dictatorship.
I don't think they would even want to do that right away, because I mean, they still have a lot more people to kill.
Well, it's going to be done incrementally. It's not going to be done. I don't think it's going to be done overnight. No. What you're going to have is nation states are going to semi-maintain their national sovereignty, even when they join their blocs. Like you're going to have like the North American bloc, the European bloc.
They already have that.
Bloc.
Yeah, they already have the Asian. That. Yeah, they already have that.
But they're going to be like unions, like European Union's already here. The African Union, I think, is already here. And the Pacific
Asian, they already have it.
They still got to bring in the North American Union, and I mean, you know, they're working towards that. And I think maybe the Latin American Union too. But you know, once they get all these blocks set up here, man, right? You know, gradually they're going to slowly diminish the national borders over time.
Yeah,
as nationality becomes less and less of a thing.
I don't see them doing that, you know, right away, because I live right on the Canadian border. I mean, I could see Canada from here, and you know, I just see them buying more and more ridiculous crap for the border. when they got boats and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And the people that go fishing in the river that separates us, sometimes they're on Canada's side, sometimes they're over there fishing on the shore, sometimes they're over here. If I wanted to go to Canada, I can go to the Canada in like 5 minutes from right where I am, without seeing a border guard. I mean, but they're not loosening up. They're making it more. They're putting in more fences at the gates. I mean, where you're supposed to go. And they're spending all the money on the border crossing, and they're not making it any easier. Matter of fact, I've been talking to a lot of people. A lot of people around here have dual citizenship.
They will give us a friendly. Okay, they'll give us a friendly survivor alien to unite.
Yeah, to unite one world religion.
For one world religion.
Whatever.
Well, that's what the real aliens are pushing. The real aliens are pushing the idea that these aliens had engineered us here, right? And Alan Watt used to always say, he made a good point where he said, well, think about it. If you're convinced that these things are so much beyond you that they engineered you here, you're already psychologically defenseless against them.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So, I mean, there you go.
I'm not going to really give a shit what an alien says until I see one and I bop one in the face and let them know who's boss,
Right.
That's my attitude. It's my attitude about aliens. Listen up, you little green motherfucker. This is my planet, and we're playing by my rules. Too many people in this country don't set enough, high enough standards for their own self. That's why we're constantly being walked over.
Theoretically, just hypothetically speaking, if I actually did run across an intelligent alien who's on this planet, I'm not going to necessarily. I'll be a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, because I don't know how far beyond me it is and how much trouble I could be in. But I'm not going to assume the worst either in the right way. He might come in peace, or it could just be some little goblin that the fucking government created in a laboratory for,
that's the problem. Most likely there is life out there because there's so much chance of it happening.
Yeah.
But when it comes to reality, we're constantly getting screwed by the government with one lie and one bullshit and one hassle after another. So, yeah, you're right. If I saw a little green goblin at my door, I'm going to assume the first thing is that it's probably some government bullshit because they're the first ones to fuck with us.
You know what? And that assumption most likely would wind up being true. It would probably be created in a military lab sent by the government.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
People don't want to admit, and especially when you really look into these things, you can see it. But a lot of people don't want to admit that, all those horrific experiments done on people and, by the Nazis. Well, in America, they've probably done 10 times worse than what was done in Nazi Germany onto the people. Especially looking into the MK Ultra program, and when you look into some of these other things that they've done through the years, our government is so incredibly horrible to human life, and people don't understand it. They because they don't see it and they're sold the lie, they won't ever believe it. They won't believe that we've tortured children, that we've tortured human beings, that we've genetically tried to alter, that we probably have created some kind of mutant weird
it's interesting that you bring that up, because part of the way the government works is it makes the people complicit, the people that enslaved complicit in their own crimes. You've seen a lot of that under Saddam, but you kind of see it in a way under any authoritarian, even here in America, you got people who are already trying to say that, citizens who don't realize how they're being fucked over, thinking that eugenics and that genetic engineering is a good thing for us and going on to promote that shit. And
well, most of those people are already victims of the bullshit. These are, I think a lot of times why they make mistakes and false flags and everything else is our government is trying to show off. Hey, look what we got. Look what we can do. They want to show the awake people. Hey, listen, we can walk these people around like robots.
Yeah,
Well, most of it is also what the government loves to do is scare the living conjeevers out of you, because through scaring the living conjeevers out of you, they can control you, because it's about control.
Here's the right thing about this, and I want to point out a good example of this, man, right? The government, these are the same governments that can get people to go out there and do horrible things, right, through the military, right, they can pretty much force the poor people to do bad things for their agendas. A lot of times, they don't even know what they're doing. Like, let me give you an example here. Like, when all these people in America and Europe, all send their militaries in the Middle East and all this stuff happened, right? We destabilized the Middle East, right? Now they want to blame the common people of Europe for for what's going on in the Middle East, and they'll use that to allow all these refugees to run roughshod all over Europe, right? But here's the thing. The common people of Europe, a lot of them in America were even against those wars, man. They weren't for those wars. The governments were for them, right? So why are we paying for what the governments did?
Because we allowed the governments to tell us what to do because everybody needed a hand to hold.
I don't understand the mentality that the people who are against the war want to beat themselves up and say that they're guilty for all this stuff that happened in the Middle East, but yet the government is not guilty when they're the ones that were for the war.
Yeah, well, that's it's mind control. I mean, it's bullcrap. Think about all these veterans that, in theory, could be heaven sent for the battle in winning our country back, but they got them all drugged up from Big Pharma, and they basically rendered all our veterans useless. And speaking to any veterans out there, some people might not want to hear this, but you need to find some natural ways to deal with whatever the problem is and get rid of Big Pharma. Throw those goddamn pills out. We need to be able to be supportive of these people because we don't want to see, our military men and women killing themselves. We need to be supportive anyway, but we need to help them get off the goddamn drugs. Because Big Pharma, there's never anything good about Big Pharma.
The mental health industry and the pharmaceutical industry go hand in hand with this shit, man, along with government propaganda as a way of reinforcing government propaganda. But, it really is disgusting, man, and how people are so brainwashed to think that, all these medications are doing so much to help people, and absolutely anything that's not prescribed under prescription medicine that is not made in a laboratory, we don't want to take it because it's dangerous. But wait a minute, how do it's just mind-boggling to me, man, because I know from my own experiences, man, you can find cheaper medicine around the house that's more effective just laying around your house,
Oh, yeah. Honey is like an antidepressant or whatever. It's got all kinds of things, honey.
And you got these people so dedicated to the lies, and they're saying, there's no scientific proof that that's any better. This is scientifically proven. How do you tell me that? Even on their own commercials, man, you said you have to listen for 15 minutes from them rattle off the possible side effects.
Well, what the problem with Big Pharma is versus a lot of these natural remedies and everything else is the immediate change. You pop a pill, and next thing you know, you immediately it suppresses whatever that particular emotion or whatever it is. And when you go with natural remedies, you might not notice it, whatever the change is, because it just happens naturally. It works with your body. So, if you take a natural antidepressant, you might take it one day and you're still feeling depressed all day, but the next day you might, feel a little bit better. The next day you might feel a little bit better. And you don't even realize that it's the natural antidepressant that's doing it, but it's working naturally. It's not making you all psychotic. You want to
really throw a rock in the atheist science people's bike with this one, man? This is what you do, bro. Because they always say they're all about evidence. They're all about evidence. All ad infinitum, ad nauseum, right? But yet they support Big Pharma, right, because it's scientific, it's hard evidence. But yet these same counselors, these same pharmaceutical companies that are pushing these pills openly tell you, when they put you on them, that they're experimental and they don't know what they're going to fucking do. Which goes against our whole concept of following the evidence.
Well, it's not a coincidence that, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I went through hell, finding out everything that was going on there, that Pfizer has one of their main operational plants there, along with many drug testing facilities that they just don't test on people. They test on monkeys, they test on people. The whole city's a big test city. And it's not a coincidence that they constantly have false flags there. It's not a coincidence. People they want to deny it. They want to think it's crazy or whatever, but there's some areas where they do a lot of experimenting. There's been, San Antonio, Bethesda, Maryland, all these places all over the country, they've been notorious for doing. And then they move around when they get too much notoriety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They've been experimenting on us for years and years and years and years, and I can't even go back how far without keeping going all night long.
Cincinnati, then another place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like butter. We're just a bunch of rats in a laboratory for them to experiment on because, well, we had to have Big Daddy's hand in the hoe, didn't we?
Well, they want to find different ways to keep us dumbed down, and they want to make sure that we don't ever fight because they know we outnumber them. And then that's a serious problem. That's what a lot of this love and light bullshit movement is, because oh my God, you can't be violent again. Hey, what do you mean? When people are poisoning your air, poisoning your water, poisoning your food, what do you mean we can't be violent against them? I had somebody the other day, I said, you know what? I think I made a mention on Twitter or something. I said, all these crisis actors need to be, tried in court and then hung. We shouldn't. And somebody said, well, we shouldn't, hang people just for lying. Bullshit. You're a traitor. You're a treasonous bastard.
Yeah.
When is it that people got so weak that they won't fight for themselves or even think about fighting for themselves?
A big part of that is because when the men started becoming more feminized, and look, you got to understand, you can't put women at fault for men becoming effeminized, because it was the men that enabled the film to be men when they enabled women to get this out of hand in the first place by white knight and put them on a pedestal. So you can't put that on women, bro. That's on men.
That's correct.
And that's a cremation of care, and that's right. The pharmaceuticals are part of the cremation of care, and it's sad. It's sad.
They've done a good job.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I was yelling at my sister, make sure you stay away from giving the kids wheat. She's like, we're already been wheat 2 years free. Well, one of the reasons why I say that is because the ergot and wheat back in the 1700s was used to control and keep the population subdued. So wheat is used as a dumbed down process. It is not good for you, despite all the lies and what they tell you. Once, and here's something else. I didn't believe at first. I was trying to eat healthier, watch, eating too much meat and this and that. And then when I started learning, we should eat more meat as men and eggs. And I started switching my diet to having eggs for breakfast versus oatmeal and other crap. And I noticed a big difference. When you start eating the proper things, your mind, your brain starts working again. And, so eat that fat, eat those eggs, and find ways to stay away from the crap. My biggest problem is the sugar.
You want certain types of fat maybe, but you don't want to eat like fat on meat on them.
Yeah, that's what, from what I'm learning, is that's what they don't want you eating that, but that's that cholesterol, everything's good for your brain.
Well, actually is. The majority of your brain is filled full of cholesterol. Now, they're going to tell you that your cholesterol levels are high. You're going to plug up your arteries and have a heart attack. And we got to lower the cholesterol. And then they're big pharma. They're going to give you the drug to lower your cholesterol, which is going to also take the cholesterol out of your brain. And then you wonder why we have Alzheimer's and dementia, huh?
Yeah. Another thing too is, especially
you need to think about something like McDonald's or something. That's pure fat.
Well, that's
just God knows chemicals and everything else. That's a big thing. I'm lucky. I don't have any fast food places near where I live, so I started eating different things. But I'll eat meat that's local meat. I'll even get stuff from Canada if it's locally packaged. And I love getting the food that we get from Canada because at the market, because when you look at the Canadians that come over the border, all the Canadians are healthy. You don't see any fat Canadians. They're very healthy people, and so to me, when I see the store and it's got the sticker that is from Canada and it was local meat or whatever it is, I grab it because apparently they must have better food than us if they're all healthy. You know.
If you can find a reliable, good source of organic beef, and you got to be a little bit cautious when you get these people that are selling meat out of the back of their trucks.
Well, you don't buy it out the back. Well, we don't have back of the truck.
Some people do. I mean,
yeah, I know. I've been in bigger cities. Yeah, you can buy everything off the back of a truck.
Even in this little rig small town I'm in, I had a person knock at my door the one day, and he had a van out there, and he had these packets of meat he was selling. Well, of course, he went on his way and didn't make a sale, but he sure tried.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Well, even with your local farmer, you want to know your local farmer. You know,
but if you can get a good source of organic, reliable meat, man, go for it, man. I mean, not even just.
You know, I mean, I can't afford the expensive, big cuts. But let me tell you something. When I've been around when I was younger, my mother did pretty well for herself, and I've been around a lot of rich people. They don't eat, the crap. They eat a lot of meat. They eat a lot. I mean, that's what they eat. So, when you see the rich people and the healthy people, this is what you kind of might want to mimic what they're doing. I mean, the vegetarian shit is starving the brain because, I mean, look at how many vegetarians fall for that new age stuff and the gurus.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to really get at, man. I mean, the whole vegetarian diet and the vegan diet, man, is really feminizing men too, man. Yes. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, we're men. I mean, we're more than anybody. I mean, I'm not saying women are, even women are to not as much as we are, though. I mean, we as men more than even more so than women. We need the proteins. I mean, we're. I mean, that's part of our. I mean, that's part of. I mean.
Well, I mean,
we're biologically, we're hunters, man. I mean, we hunt, we eat. We don't also eat vegetables, but.
Well, no, I mean, women out there, they want a man. I think a lot of women probably that are, they would like a man. And trust me, for the women out there, if you see two people at a restaurant, one's eating some soy crap or somebody's eating meat, take home the guy that's eating meat.
Yeah,
You're probably going to enjoy your night more.
I mean, I don't. They're always pushing this stuff, man. They're always pushing, go vegan. It's the answer for everything. It fixes everything, everything from obesity to erectile dysfunction to fucking anything you can shake a damn stick at, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Go vegan. I mean, it's like, no, I couldn't survive as a vegetarian, man, because I've looked at some of their meals. I've known people who are vegetarian, man, and there's not a knock against them, man. But I can't eat a lot of that shit, man. Like, it just looks disgusting.
Because you're not meant to eat all that stuff. I mean, the human body is a bizarre thing in its own right. People fight. Are we carnivores? Are we herbivores? What are we?
We're both.
Well, maybe if we get some of them sand cattle, we'll get something that's organic.
Yeah.
Organic.
Well, how many times have I heard that there's a lot of the vegetarians that will come in and be like, well, if we were meant to eat meat, then they point out all these differences about us and carnivores, and I'm like, well, you know what? Here's the thing: we're not carnivores, man. We're omnivores. We eat plants and animals. So that makes us pretty much unique among all the other creatures on this earth, because most of the other creatures, they're either plant eaters or they're animal eaters. We're both.
Well, I mean, I noticed. I mean, and everybody could be a little bit different too. But I noticed that when, especially with my legs, a lot of troubles I've had when I started eating more meat, more eggs, and stuff like that. My legs swelled a lot less. I was, I was just, my skin was a lot better. It was just, it may not work for everybody, but I'm saying it works for me. So I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to stay away from the wheat. I'm going to stay away from, my big problem is too much sugar, the snacks and the treats, And I know Bill has that problem too because I see him and I yell at him for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
I mean, and not all grain is bad. Wheat's bad for you. Rice. If you get like whole grain rice, man, rice is really good for you.
Well, some people you can't tell them that wheat's bad because they've fallen for the propaganda. They've been told they're eating healthy when they're eating wheat. And Jerry ain't gonna tell them different because they ain't gonna listen to anything he's saying. They're gonna run right out and buy wheat. I mean, right in my own house. My nephew's wife, that's all she buys. Every time she buys bread, it's wheat bread, wheat bread, wheat bread, wheat bread.
No, I won't touch it.
I want to ask Jerry. What's your thoughts on? I had a concept because I don't have the money to really put this into effect, but I had a concept that you could theoretically, if you were able to grow your own garden and your own livestock, right, you could recreate a lot of the foods that people eat every day with healthier ingredients. Like you make bread out of rice instead of wheat, and.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it would probably be at least comparable to the original product. I mean, it might not be as good, or it might be better. Who knows?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Bill says I have a local organic farmer around here. In the summertime, I get the most amazing food, but the problem is, we get snow for 5.5 months here, so it's a short season for the farmer. But when the farmer's around, oh my God, the local, and especially, the thing about this is why we're able to get this non-GMO crap is because of where I live. The Rooster State, forest separates us from basically the rest of civilization for about, good 150 miles from any of the farmers that would be using a lot of that GMO crap. So it can't cross-pollinate, we're actually closer to some Canadian farms than we are to, some of the American farms that are closer to the shoreline. So, I mean, we have a big gap where, we can still get some halfway decent stuff.
That's good. I mean, and it's good. Hopefully, it stays that way, man. Because I know now,
who knows?
The way things are becoming more socialist, man. Like they're really raining down on farmers, man. Like farmers, farmers more than anybody, man. Like that's such an important industry for people,
yes, it
man.
Is.
Like they really need to fight right now, man, because farmers are getting pushed out, man. I mean, farmers are becoming collectivized and monopolized, and they're told what they can and can't grow and how much of what they can and can't grow, and what pesticides and fertilizers they use, and I mean,
I mean, I think
crap. They're paying shit.
We're lucky that I think because the mainstream or even the biggest city is a good 250 miles away. That when you get any of the bureaucrats, there's not many of them up here because none of them want to travel up here.
Oh man, I'm not that far. I wish I was 250 miles away.
Yeah.
But I'm more like 50 miles away, minus the 200.
Well, I mean, just dropping fast food. I mean, what a difference in your body it makes. My problem is in the wintertime, I'm stuck here. I'm not getting enough exercise. I need to exercise a little more. I'm putting on weight, but I've been eating more because I'm actually enjoying food when I'm eating the right things.
If anybody wants to get a good idea how to lose that, if you're addicted to eating shit that's bad for you, shit like processed foods or fast foods, I'm going to tell you how you break that addiction right now. Look into what goes into that food.
Yes.
Look at documentaries and shit and find out what goes into that food. You won't ever want to touch it again.
Yeah. I mean, that's even something why, I don't touch alcohol, just because I understand, what that crap does to you,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like anything else. When you look into what things actually are, you learn enough to decipher whether it's something that's right, wrong. Just like food. Is it food is like true and false, good or bad.
I smoke a lot of weed.
Well, there's some people that do that. I'm not against it.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, but.
No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I don't smoke it because I get too old and now it just puts me to sleep.
Well, it is a good sleeping medicine. I'll give you that. There's times...
It has certain medicinal properties.
Oh, it does. I've seen it work wonders for, I had a roommate in college for epilepsy. I mean, I think that's a miracle drug for people that have epilepsy. And, that's something I strongly advocate,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised when he says they put feces in Taco Bell beans. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. I don't trust anything the fast food industry puts out.
Yeah, it's propaganda. You see that commercial too, where the Belluminati?
Oh yeah, I was. Oh my God, bullshit.
That was such bullshit to make it look like, oh my God, anybody questions the government is a crazy wackadoo. People fall for it.
How did you like that?
It's part of their plan.
How did you like that false broadcast about the biological missile hitting Hawaii yesterday?
Oh yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. That's these people.
I didn't hear about it, man.
Well, I find it funny because see, Jerry was telling me about his days that he worked at the radio station, and his
just 2 days before this,
a couple of days before this happened, and then yesterday, oh, there's a biological missile, and it came over people's cell phones from the national emergency broadcast that a biological missile has been launched, and that it's not a drill, and for the people in Hawaii to take cover. Okay. And then, okay, I'll let Jerry finish here because this is cool.
Yeah. What is funny is just a couple of days before this happened, I was explaining to Bill. Me and Bill were talking about some other stuff, and I was explaining to him how the emergency broadcasting system actually works. So Bill already knew how this system works because I explained to him how it works. And then when they do this, I was like, Bill, it's bullshit because the way the system is set up, that can't happen. All right, they can't have a mistake like that because it's a double fail safe system. Yeah. The way the system works is especially if it went through the cell phones, it's got to go through the cell phone company. And within the bank of all their different electronics at the cell phone company, the way the electronic broadcast system works is it actually, takes over that and sends that message. But a person has to verify that message by going to the machine and putting their finger on it and sending a tone back to, request the system to verify that this is actually a warning. So it wouldn't be something where there was like they told the public it was during a shift change and somebody made a mistake. No, you don't make a mistake like that. Because that comes in, it doesn't come in from just a local from Hawaii. That's got to be verified with the national system. So the national system has to send it to the local system. So in other words, once that tone comes to the wherever it's going to be transmitted from, it comes to a little black box. That tone comes, somebody's got to put their finger on it, which will send a tone back to the receiver, which relays the tone to the emergency national system. National system has to relay it back to them to double verify that that's actually what's happening. And then the system takes over itself from the national system. So the person that's at that place really has nothing to do with the actual message. So therefore, it was bullshit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then they'd sit there and lie. Oh, well, we're not gonna, we're just gonna, retrain the person that, that it went through on, and it was all a big mistake. No, there's no mistake with the system. It's a double fail safe system. When those kind of things come through, it's either it is a test or it's not a test, and and the person that's relaying the message has no control over that. That's the government.
Yeah, because everybody thinks that people say, "Oh, the system's broken," but the system's not broken. The system is doing what it's intended to do.
Yeah, the system was intended to create this emergency broadcast false flag is what it was intended to do. Whether
exactly.
And they may come out, well, we need more money for training, we need more money for equipment, we need to change equipment, whatever it is, whatever their agenda is for this stupid little false flag they had. What it is they scared a whole bunch of people for no reason, and those people that got scared in Hawaii need to sue the goddamn government.
They sure the heck do. They should.
You won't see any of them do it, but then because none of the lawyers will do it, none of the lawyers will take the case because all our lawyers are pieces of shit Masons. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but that's exactly what should happen. Back to the marijuana just temporarily. I understand, Warren. I smoked marijuana myself for years. I think it has some good things about it. But I would be more careful with it nowadays, especially if it becomes legalized in the states you're living in, because Monsanto's is going to get involved, and it's going to be GMO weed, and the GMO weed won't be good for you at all. And so I think a whole lot of things are about to change with that.
The best thing to do is if you have the option, is to grow it yourself, or that, or know somebody who gets it. And I buy mine to a friend, but.
Well, it used to be back in the day, marijuana, you bought a bag and it was loaded with seeds and stems, and you'd clean the seeds and stems out of it, and you had seeds to grow your own plants. And from what I've seen nowadays, you don't come with seeds no more. So what is it?
Yeah, I haven't seen seeds in like I don't know how long, man. Like once in a while, I'll occasionally find like a seed or two in a bag, like once a blue moon.
But there you go. See, and that should send up red flags. Because back in the day when I was smoking the stuff years and years back, you couldn't buy a bag that didn't have seeds in it.
Well, I mean, it's just like the GMO food. You're not finding seeds in the food.
Exactly. So that's right there should send up a red flag.
You know, whether people want it or not, or whether they think the marijuana is better or not, it doesn't matter. It's more about being natural. If you're buying the marijuana, to get ridiculously high because you want to get high, well then you have a drug problem. That's what that's about. It's not about doing the natural thing and just getting a little stoned. If you want to get so ridiculously high as you possibly can, then that's an escape thing. That's something you're trying to escape from.
They want to do that on a regular basis. I mean, if it's like like here and there, like maybe out on the weekend and they're hanging out with the guys.
If you're doing it, if you want to get real stoned to have fun every once in a while, but a lot of people are smoking pot every day, and and you want to get blasted to the point where you don't want to think about anything, or whatever the situation is, or forget about something, or just get super stoned, then there might be an actual real drug issue. But if you're more willing, if you want to smoke pot every day and you want the most natural thing, there should be more concern about what's really natural right now.
Well, there should be, To me,
because they do put. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, to me, I see a big red flag because it should be having seeds in it if it was natural. If it was growing and they were packing it, would be in a sandwich baggie as it used to come in always. You would get the pot in the sandwich baggie. You would have to go through and take out some and put it on your tray and tilt it and de-seed it and de-stem it. And then you had some shake and you had some buds. You had good weed, though. But nowadays, you're going to get a bag full of bud with hardly no stems and with definitely no seeds.
Oh, there's stems in it, man.
Yeah, well, that's good. But what happened to your seeds?
Yeah, your seeds, I don't see very many of those anymore.
Back in the day when you grew a garden, you had tomatoes. So I'm just going to use tomato for a good example. You cut open that tomato and it was...
I'm on a show. Be quiet.
That was good. But anyhow, back in the day, when you cut open a tomato out of your garden, it was loaded with seeds. Now go to the store and buy a tomato and cut that open and see what you see.
Well, I mean, people don't even realize that. Even these pot farmers, they don't realize when they're changing the strains and they're remodifying this and genetically changing that. Well, that's genetic modification. They're doing it themselves. Oh no, they're just making this strain or that strain, or modifying this and modifying that. Well, if you're modifying this and modifying that genetically, that's a genetic modification. So the farmers are actually doing it themselves, but just because it's not done at a chemical Monsanto plant doesn't mean that it's still not genetic modification.
That's correct. And I would agree with Off the Grid here when he says that their main thing is they're trying to control everything.
Oh, shit.
Well, of course they're trying to control everything. They want to control absolutely everything, but they also don't want you having anything that's good for you. So if there was any good benefits out of marijuana at all, them benefits will be gone because as they modify it, Monsanto gets their hands into it, they're going to make sure it's not good for you.
If it keeps on doing wonders for people with epilepsy, how the hell are they going to sell their epilepsy pills? Yeah. They're going to need to sell something, so they're going to take control of it,
Yeah, of course. I mean, I have my theory, man, that it's kind of like, in 1984, Brave New World, they had Soma, right? Weed's probably going to be like, in a way, like the Soma,
So, yeah.
I mean, in its natural form. I mean, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not that bad. But like you said, I mean, even the stuff you buy on the streets now. I mean, you have to even be careful with that. I mean, because you
can't trust nobody anymore. I mean, it's not. It's not your local. I mean, it's very rare that you get the local hippie anymore that's selling you the all natural or whatever that they're growing in their backyard or in their attic. There's still some like that, but most of them are, what can they produce to make the most money, and they're going to go along with whatever works the best.
Well, that's what most of it's all about today, is all numbers and how much money can we make.
I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, I've heard sometimes they call this like gas. Like they'll take like weed and they'll like, douse it in gas and make it gasoline or something, make it like more potent or something. And, I don't know. I mean, I've never tasted any gasoline flavor, but I have noticed sometimes though, man, like if you like lighting a bowl of greens and like the flame like lights up and then you have to like snap it out with your lighter.
Well, I mean, it's a dying plant. It's going to produce methane. That happens when anything that's dying.
Yeah, like the flame will actually like rise up off the bud and it'll sit there and keep burning off the bud, and so you have to like snap it out.
Yeah,
that happens every now and then.
I mean, when we die, I mean, in theory, when a person dies, you can use the gases that come out of a person to light up.
Yeah,
that's
I want to be cremated when I die.
Yeah, I want to be stuffed.
Yeah.
Be stuffed. Why not? Be stuffed, and then with my arm raised and the middle finger out, and then placed in my sister's house in the living room. I'm gonna put that in the will.
Yeah.
Why not? Just for the fun of it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, what was it? I think it was Van Gogh. Cut his damn ear off and sent it to a damn prostitute.
Yeah, there's a lot more to Van Gogh, as I'm learning. He was part of some kind of group at one time or whatever. And the one I've been interested in lately has been Ezra Pound. After I read a little bit about the article that was published about him getting sent to basically an MK Ultra hospital. Before it was MK Ultra, but it was one of the experimental hospitals, the same one that Hinckley, the one that shot Reagan, went to later on, and I believe it was in France. And Ezra Pound was actually sentenced to go to this hospital because double agent spy Ernest Hemingway, wrote a letter. I forgot who it was to. So somewhere within military intelligence, that he either should be hung or sent to the hospital. So the reason why it was is because Ezra Pound went on Italian radio and started spitting out all the juice about what was going on with the the insides workings of the secret society and their plans. So he was kind of a hero, kind of like Ted Kaczynski. Our heroes are oftentimes, when they say somebody's so horrible, that person you might want to look into more because they might actually be a hero. The people they say are heroes are usually the scumbags, and the people they say are evil, maniacal pieces of crap are usually the heroes. Everything's backwards in our world, and people just don't look into it. Ted Kaczynski was mailing. He was part of the MK Ultra program and really screwed up his brain, but he's, was sane enough to send bombs that pointed out to all these doctors that were involved in the MK Ultra program. And he warned everybody about technology, which now is actually something that's an issue.
Yeah.
If technocracy was, it was not that big of an issue back when Kaczynski was going around blowing up stuff. But now it's basically a lot of our own concerns that are awake.
A lot of what he
says makes him
true,
right.
Regardless of what somebody may or may not think of his methods.
Yeah.
He a lot of the stuff he talked about, didn't. I mean, there's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah, I mean, he went after one of the MK Ultra doctors that was working on genetic modification with human beings, in the biotech industry. And there was a whole bunch. I forgot some of the other ones. I mean, they were all involved in one way or another. He was basically making a map showing us, look, watch out. This is what our future is going to become. We need to destroy these people.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Despite what you think, I'm sorry, but an MK Ultra doctor that's destroyed so many lives, and believe it or not, people don't want to realize this, but they're destroying everybody out there's life. What these different programs are doing to society are destroying everybody's life, and they just don't understand it. The reason why you have trouble, with relationships, or they're trouble with money, we're having trouble with, whatever it is, it's because of these people. So blowing them up, let me tell you something. Anybody that blows up an MK Ultra doctor is a goddamn hero. Period.
Did any innocent people get taken out too? I mean, or is it?
Huh?
I mean, did anybody else get taken out? Any innocents?
No, as far as I know. I mean, even if like a secretary or something got taken out, still, if you're a secretary for an MK Ultra doctor, you're part of the MK Ultra program.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, there is no innocence when it comes to that. No. And even then, I mean, it's such a big issue with the social engineering, and I don't care what anybody thinks. You can think whatever, totally disagree with me, but we have such a problem with what these doctors and what all these programs and government programs have done to people. I'm sorry, if a couple innocent people got in the way, then it be it. We've got to stop being pussies and go after these people. Stop it. Stop being so weak that we won't fight for ourselves to gain our freedom back.
Yeah, I agree to that.
Well, that's
and I hate to
reason
see
we
innocence
don't get it
lost,
back.
but yeah.
I mean, the reason we don't get any of our freedom back is because nobody stands up to fight back. When's the last time you heard anybody? Just show me a video anywhere online, especially on Google Tube, okay, where anybody has talked about what are we going to do to stop it?
No one.
I'm sorry, I had to turn that down. Go ahead.
I mean, that is right there your real question. Can anybody show us a video of anybody that's talking about what are we going to do to stop this? I don't ever hear it. I don't see it. I don't find it. Nobody wants to talk about stopping it. They only want to talk about the symptoms.
I'm at a loss what to do. I mean, like, here's the thing, man. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I mean, a lot of times too, if people just act out violently, the government's going to use that as an excuse to take away more rights.
Yeah, well, exactly. But if we were able to have enough people that had the balls to do it in one group force, then it would be different. But the problem is they destroyed the potential of ever getting a group force together like that.
Yeah.
Yep, well, I can understand what you're saying, but when you say we're losing, well, they'll take more of our rights, but they're already taking your rights out from underneath you. So when do you go after them to stop them?
Yeah.
You mean after you have absolutely no rights?
I mean, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I believe in maintaining your Second Amendment rights and bear arms and all of that. But, I mean, I don't want to, give them more ammunition either.
No, well, here's the thing: is they're already going to take it away because nobody's ever going to fight back.
Yeah.
No, it's just a matter of time. Yeah. All they have to do is keep on doing what they're doing, nice and slow, and by the time they do it, nobody will even care or notice it. So it's gonna. I mean, the fact that nobody even taught. I mean, I challenge anybody out there, because I would like to know who they are. And, just because I'm interested, I'd like to hear about somebody that's actually talking about we needing, for us to needing to stop this, or this what's going on should be stopped. You don't even hear anything being discussed about ever stopping anything.
No.
Ever.
Nobody
period.
cares. They don't want to get to the root of anything. They just want to sit here and babble about the symptoms.
Yeah.
That's it. That's really what you're seeing.
So that's what makes people like Ted Kaczynski a hero, because he actually did something.
Yeah.
He might not like what he did, but at least he did something. Who else has done anything? Who else? No one.
Yeah. That is true.
But that's where it all comes from. Of all the people up here speaking out and making videos and showing this and showing that,
eat your own food.
You don't have nobody.
Go eat your own food.
Nobody discussing ways to stop them whatsoever. And until people start actually discussing ways to stop them and get real about it, you'll never change nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yep.
But
The cremation of care was successful. They done cremated it, collected up the ashes, cleaned the cremator out, poured the ashes out to sea. They're gone. They're already at the bottom of the sea.
yeah,
That's what happened to care.
Care and passion, and that's why I even I feel sorry for there's so many people out there. I mean, when they destroy the passion, they destroy not just the passion to fight for the future or fight for your loved ones, but how do people out there even have any passion of a relationship if people can't even have any passion if they don't even know what passion is anymore?
That's it.
No, they don't. In fact, it's gotten to a point now where it's like if you're actually enthusiastic about anything, it's like you look at it as a weirdo now.
Oh yeah. Nah, I mean, well, that's what they that's why I say I don't care what other people think of me. I don't care what they say. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to fight for what I believe in. Because at least at night I can go to bed and I'm proud of who I am. I'm not gonna. I don't want to be dead and say, well, hey, I had all these nice things. I had all these fancy stuff and cars and boats and whatever's, and I'd rather be able to know that when I die, because you can't take nothing with you, that hey, I believe in something. I was passionate about, life.
Well, that's it. I would rather, when I die, I would rather know when I died that I died fighting back. Rather than just bend over and take it.
But what I mean,
ways to go out. You can, on your feet or on your knees. I mean, I ain't going out on my knees. So.
But what I mean, I understand the food and everything else, but it's just amazing the amount of people that don't have passion for, for our children, for our future, for making the world a better place. They don't have any passion. But yet these. And let me tell you something: the people that are changing the world to be, what they want, are passionate about doing it because they ain't quitting.
Oh, they sure are. I mean, you look at the videos that you find of little girls. Okay, I mean little girls, 8, 9, 10 years old, talking the talk, feminist talk, up there running their mouths, talking about, I mean, they've been lied to so bad. And they're up there dressed like little whores, and everybody thinks it's normal, just like with John Benet Ramsey.
No.
You think entering little kids into a passion contest or dressing them up in thong bikinis and having them out there shaking their little asses and all this stuff that's going on, you think this stuff's normal?
You know what's going to do? That's going to promote pedophilia.
That's what they want. And they want to degrade society. That way they have excuses for everything. Yeah. And they want to destroy.
Well, as I said, they want to make people complicit in their own crimes. That way they don't have to hide their crimes. If they normalize in society, they can come out. They can come out in the closet with it and not have to worry about it.
Oh, they are. I mean, they pretty much already are. I mean, they can get away with whatever they want. I constantly, I really do believe when they do make these busts and all this stuff, you always see these low-time criminal. They ain't going after anybody important. It's that old story of, Putin's going to arrest Hillary Clinton and George Soros. It's all bullshit. They're not, there's nobody's going nowhere. It's all big stories. It's just to keep the people entertained. As long as people believe something's happening, they won't do anything themselves.
Oh, yeah. Well, Trump's going to be the new president, and he's going to make everything right. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to take care of
it. I think part of what they did this, too, in today's society, because they created this big technological concrete jungle, this superstructure, where people feel overwhelmed now because the governments are so much more armed than the people are now compared to where they were, like, let's say, 100 years ago.
Well, they're armed with their psychological warfare and their social engineering. And that's what they're armed with, and they're fighting the battle every day with that stuff. That's why we have.
That's the big guns and the stuff behind the scenes. But I mean, even from the surface, I mean, you can look at the level of technology they've developed. And
oh yeah.
I mean, that's I mean, we live on a surveillance grid. Man. Everything we do is being transacted, is being recorded, monitored.
That's why I don't believe in hiding. I'm like, I don't really give a shit what they think. I mean, I'm never gonna hide from the government. I'm never gonna hide from them. Frick them. They're pieces of shit.
That's it.
Like I said, the last time. Like I'm gonna say it again on this show. All those men and women that are working for the Army Signal Corps that are running these internet operations are pieces of shit. Come to my door. I challenged them last week. Come to my door and watch how fast you get knocked the hell out. No, I've never seen it. None of them stepped up my door anywhere. You know why? Because they're just as much as a victim to what's going on, and they have no passion. They got no balls. They're all transgender, weak pieces of crap.
Willing victims, man. Willing victims, man.
Yeah.
That's the ironic thing. And what they do is a lot of the people will do is they'll shield the system that oppresses them, and they'll look for anybody who sticks their head up and tries to challenge that system, and they'll try to chop them off.
That's because
that's what you see.
Well, in reality, they're cowards. I've been up here for years, and have I ever hid my face? No. Have I hid who I am? No. And I won't. Okay, and the majority of people out here, how many people do you see that are going to get up here willingly and give their name? I mean, yeah, you got all these people up here, even the shields. The majority of them won't show their face. And what ones do show their face, they're still braver than most of your so-called fake truthers. Because the majority of fake truthers, you don't hear nothing but a voice, and that's all you ever hear. You'll never see their face. You'll never see their real name because they're not going to put it out there because they're cowards and they're scared.
Yeah, if you're scared of the government, you're not awake. You don't. I mean, you don't understand. You haven't done enough research into the history of enlightenment or anything, or understand what's really even going on. And basically, most of these truthers just get in the way because they're not going to talk about ever stopping anything or actually ever doing anything. So as long as they keep on sharing the propaganda, it will, satisfy the population of awake that they don't need to do anything.
Yep, and then they'll give you their lame excuse, they're so-called awake, right? And they'll tell you, well, the reason I don't put my real name out and I don't put myself on video is because I don't want anybody to know who I am. I'm hiding. And I says, who, from yourself? The people that we're fighting against already know who you are. Matter of fact,
for real,
they know they even know where you live.
And what you look like. So,
exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to be able to maintain a job at some point too. I mean,
I can understand that too. But here's the thing. I mean, if you're not going to go in, if you're not going to throw, you're not going to throw your cards into the full fight, then stay out of the way.
Well, yeah, because when you say,
that's my feeling on it.
I know,
I mean, you're not willing to die
I don't do anything, but I mean,
I understand that, but I lost a job doing what I'm doing.
I lost everything.
And did I stop doing what I'm doing because they took my job from me? No.
I lost my home, my grandmother's antiques. I lost every little freaking thing over it. And you don't want to know what? I'm still willing to lose my life over it because, because if nobody does nothing, nothing will ever happen.
I don't want to sacrifice myself in vain. I mean, I'm willing to sacrifice myself if I know it's going to pay off. If I know that
but that's not how life works.
Am I going to stop GMOs? Am I going to stop the global warming hoax? Am I going to stop, martial law?
But here's the thing: is most likely you're not going to stop anything. But that doesn't, here's the thing: is if it's just like anything else, whether you venture in business or anything else. If nobody does anything, if you're too scared to ever do anything, nothing will ever happen.
That's
period.
Right. And
it's not so much fear, so much
even if the odds are
just being logical. I mean, logically, I'm not going to throw myself, in a wood chipper for no reason. I mean, I'm not going to do anything.
But I mean, if if you throw in your wood chipper, yourself into a wood chipper at some serial killer's house would stop him from killing, 30 children? Would you throw yourself into the wood chipper to break it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah,
that's it. I mean, it means, I mean,
what is the scenario? What is the analogical scenario of that, though? I mean,
well, I mean, the problem is right now is we don't know, we don't know what to put our lives out there for that would actually stop something. But when it comes along, you should be willing to do it.
Well, yeah, when it comes along, I mean, if something were to come along that I knew I could actually make a difference, I mean, then yeah.
We just, I mean, that's the tough thing is, I mean, is constantly searching for what's that one thing going to be. And, I think when it comes along, people have to be ready to jump out there and do something. Right now, we don't really, I mean, if we don't have much, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't not talk about it. We need to start talking about it.
I don't think there's going to be any kind of smoking gun evidence that's going to get out that's going to really make
no, it's not going to be evidence because they control the whole chain of evidence.
Exactly.
They control the courts, they control the legal system, so that's not going to work. It's got to, and that's why it's so tough to think of something because they control the areas where we should be able to get them. And maybe there will be some kind of genius thing that we can back them in the corner. One thing but even then, it's only going to shut them up for a little while. So yeah, I mean, it does make it tough, but I mean, I think people should be willing and ready. In case that one miracle answer does come along, then we all need to jump on it and make sure that something happens.
For us to fix this, it's going to have to crash first, man. It's going to have to because the direction it's going in right now it's too far gone, to be rescued at this point. Like,
what's your idea of crash? What's your idea of crash? So what's your idea? What's your idea of crash, Warren?
Like the grid, I mean, the grid's going to have to crash. Civilization, as we know, is going to have to crash because, I mean, it's already built on a lot of false premises, a lot of I mean, it's just the mindset, the direction. I mean, it's too far gone to be rescued. Like, people aren't going to come to reality until necessity forces them to.
Well, I understand that, but I asked a simple thing like, okay, in versions of crash for the grid, in what things are going to crash? Like what?
Hopefully the whole monetary system. I mean, that's where it looks like it's eventually headed.
Well, I would like to see that, but I'm suspicious about this, and I got a feeling we're not going to see a technical crash to the monetary system at all. Because I think what they're going to do is you're going to see the new superpower China use their system to back the U.S. currency. Even though it'll be deflated in value, they'll back it so that they don't totally crash it because I think, this is just my opinion, and I think Jerry's with me on this. If they was to crash the monetary system, I think it'll cause a major awakening that they don't want.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, I think they're going to slowly transform it with small crashes here and there. And, I think another thing, too, is what we're starting to see is, how much play there's been for water. They refuse to talk about it. They refuse to discuss it. The alternative media refuses to discuss, which is the first sign because alternative media is nothing but bullshit. So, just like at the Bundy Ranch, water, just like Sandy Hook, water, just like San Bernardino, water through all these different things that are happening, so.
And either way, gradually, people are going to be declining into third world status here in America. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen gradually.
But you're already headed there. You're already headed there. All you got to do is pay
China's going to be the one that's going to colonize America, pretty much. I mean, they're going to colonize America with a pen.
That ain't going to be hard to do.
Yeah, with a pen. They said they don't need to use the sword; they'll use the pen.
Well, yeah, that's what they always do. That's the Mason. That's what the Masons say. Every time you come across a Mason, the Mason will always say, the pen is mightier than a sword. Well, bullshit. Just ask somebody with their head cut off.
Yeah,
But the reason why they do that because the pen is script. It's all black magic. It goes back to magic. The court documents. When the scribes, the pharaohs, put something in script. It manifested itself and then it became, a reality. They used to, the old scribes, were also like witch doctors. If somebody had an ailment, well, we're gonna put your name down, like this, and you're gonna feel better. It's all about believing in what the word is. So in theory, me, you, and Bill can write a constitution. And if we're willing to take on the entire American army for it, then we have the right to create our own constitution, because that's all our founding fathers did. They said, who gave them the right to just go write the constitution for the whole entire American population? It's because the people believed in them. If the rest of the people didn't, go along with it, then it wouldn't have happened. But they did it, and people went along with it. So in theory, if the three of us made a constitution and we're able to get other people to go along with it, we have the right to become the next, part of America, and then write the next constitution. It's because people have so much. It's just like the dollar bill. That's just magic. They created something out of nothing, but people believe it has value. And you can't say that you don't believe in it, because next time you do some work and they hand you, $100 or $200, you go out and take that, couple $100 and light it on fire. You're not going to, because you believe it has value and it has power.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not going to burn the next money you get. So therefore, just like all of us, we're stuck in this matrix.
This magic.
It's magic.
We're stuck in this
Yeah.
because individually we could burn up our money and walk away, but if we do it individually and not enough other people follow, we're pretty much setting ourselves up. I mean, so everybody's got to do it. Everybody's got to come forward and say, we're not going to do it anymore.
Everybody,
at least a significant portion of the people.
You have to have other people that will believe in it. And, that's why they have so much control in the alternative media, and they have so much media. And that's why it's all, whether you want to believe it or not, the government runs everything that people see, because they're not going to allow a person that they don't have under their control to have any influence. That's just not going to happen. That's why people really got to take note. The more, when they see stuff that's really popular, most likely that's being government run, because they do not want they don't want an uncontrollable to, have any type of a following or any type of, an influence on society. They have to have their people, their control. So they're not going to let a loose cannon. Loose cannon is what we need. They made everybody in the country believe that Donald Trump was this loose cannon. Bullshit. Bullshit.
No, he wasn't.
Loose cannon on my ass.
Within the music industry down through the ages, that some people thought maybe, they did speak, and that's why they got taken out. And I hear that theory with John Lennon. You hear that theory with
about Marley,
like Tupac, and
Donald Trump was just another show. That's all that was. Just another show for the people, and most people, that are asleep, they can't see through it. You look at all the staged infighting, look at the paid-for protests by George Soros, look at everything they've done since he's entered office. But I knew when he came into office, there wasn't no change. Everybody thinks it's changed. Come on, when Obama come in, all these people rubbing the streets and partying, yippee, yahoo! We got change.
The only change that happened is him into a dress at night.
That's right. Well, they did get they did get change. He brought the first male first lady into office.
Yeah.
So they got change.
Now they want to have Oprah. Kind of talk about Oprah. Oh my God. The lady that supported the Sandy Hook thing. Like, oh my God, come on. The lady that lied about her stepfather raping her or whatever, the whole rape story was proven to be fake. And it's just unbelievable. And then they, come on. Now, America's got to be like the biggest joke to the rest of the world. It really is. It's got to be the biggest joke.
They're going to have Oprah against Dr. Phil.
What I've done. Don't give him any ideas. Don't give him any ideas, Bill. Please don't give him any ideas.
You know what, man? I might start saving up some money too for the case being, man. Because if Oprah wants to run for president, man, I'm moving out of the country.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll get you across the border. Don't worry. I'll get you across the border.
I'm not trying to give them any ideas. I was just picturing where we're going. We're going to have Oprah.
They'll find the most ridiculous people. It's just a joke. It's a joke.
You know what I'll say? Well, you're sexist and you're racist if you're against her. Okay.
So what? That's the thing. People got to stop caring what other people think. People got to stop caring. You got to, be proud of who you are. I don't care what other people think or say. Who cares?
I'm just
be yourself.
More concerned about, like what did he plan on that? Like, thought Obama was bad as far as all these damn shit they'd be passing, and I wouldn't want to be in a country ran by, or even falsely ran by Oprah Winfrey, because that scares the shit out of me, honestly.
Well, now the only thing they're passing is gas.
Yeah. We when are we going to stop allowing billionaires to be, or either billionaires are either, being our leaders or they're choosing our leaders. One way or another, this is what's happening, and until our country gets smart enough to, to say no, we're not accepting anything other than Farmer John getting into office. We're going to have a problem.
I've noticed that they play this tactic to get people to support a candidate, right? Is good cop, bad cop scenario where the Me Too movement is a good example of that, right? Or even if you look at how Donald Trump got elected because of all the liberals, is a good example of that. It's a good cop, bad cop kind of scenario, which because of all this shit that they've connected it to, leads people to want to back the authority figure, possess this authority figure to be up some grand victim or some martyr or whatnot. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a way of getting people, behind the government. Like,
well, when it comes down to it, if you look at the PACs that, that chose Donald Trump, despite, what they were saying in the beginning, Donald Trump was Israel's decision from the beginning, And despite what anybody says, all you have to do is do the research in the PACs and the money that was behind Donald Trump. Israel chose Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's another thing. We need to get Israel the hell out of our politics. Our politics is already shot as it is, and like you said, it's a big problem.
The state of Israel honestly should be abolished.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why don't listen, I'm Jewish. I constantly say we need to bomb the shit out of Israel. That's how is it hard for people to not understand that? I don't understand how if they're constantly treating all these people that are around them like crap, killing them, they're causing trouble in every country they go into, and throughout history they always have, and then they lie and play the victims. Why don't we just stop them?
I promise to boycott Israel.
Yeah, I do too, man.
Man, Israel's probably the dirtiest player on the game right now, man. Because they're behind so much. Everything that goes on in the media, everything's going on with all these false flags and these stage events. Do you know who's behind it? Israel.
Oh, yeah. I've been reading a lot. People need to start getting their hands on some of the Rand Corporation's documents, because they've written so many proposals for different types of false flags in the past. It's not going to surprise me that if there were some documents found out there with the Rand Corporation's name on it for some of these current false flags.
There's photo evidence of Mossad agents, at the side of 9/11, at the side of Sandy Hook. A lot of people got to do is look at it and ask themselves, why would a fucking Mossad agent have anything to do with any of that?
Well, I don't know if you ever heard me talk about it before. There's a place right next to Sandy Hook called Heritage Village. It's a private Jewish community that anybody that lives in the area has known Mossad agents have safe houses there. right next to Sandy Hook, a private Jewish community, and it's a very large private Jewish community, and it has known Mossad agents that live there to this day. And nobody ever, not one of these people, besides me, I've seen that has, revealed all this information about Sandy Hook, has ever discussed Sandy Hook. I mean, Heritage Village.
Yeah.
And not only that, is if you read some of the information, and I got some documents from and pictures from back in the day where Heritage Village used to have Nazi rallies before, all of a sudden they switched to being against the Nazi party. So in the 30s,
like 10 minutes left. I want to be able to get to Rhonda Hampson's question because I thought it was a very pertinent question that she asked. She said, "Can you outline the connection between Jewish and Freemasons?" Thanks. How would you answer that?
The Freemasons is, it's basically the whole Jewish. It's a Jewish practice. The cell within a cell, the circle within a circle. Those are all Jewish practices. That's why the Masons don't realize, you have to have, some Jewish heritage to be at the top of the Masons.
Yeah. And modern day Masonry, you do, but this system has been going on exploiting people before Jews were even a thing. So,
it goes back. It's a bizarre thing, but I mean, if you look at the Masonic practices, they are Jewish practices. They mimic the Kabbalah. They mimic Rosicrucian. The Rosicrucians, that's a total mimic of the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about Masons, it's basically just a Jewish tradition. But you ask a Mason that, I'm a Christian. No, you're an idiot. That's what you are.
Yeah. I think it is and it isn't. I'm not exactly sure to what degree, but like Freemasonry, because if you look at the Freemasonry Encyclopedia, they say the origins of Freemasonry, they say the dawn of the era, which goes way back before Judaism. So, modern day Freemasonry is very Jewish influenced, and is very, but even before Judaism, a lot of it was still based around the old Brahmin values and the old the Hindu. A lot of all religion today, Eastern and Western, has a root in Hindu. So
well, before the Masons, they were called the Tectons, or the Tectons, I believe it was called. Pronunciation might be not correct, but the Tectons, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. And that meant builder, mason. That these traditions were Jewish traditions. The Tectons were Jewish. That's just the way it is. So the Masons tradition was it was maybe it was before the Jewish people, but it was those same people that passed these traditions down.
Yeah.
It's like that all seen.
I think Judaism is pretty much the bloodline. I think that every Jewish bloodline is part of that global cabal, but a certain portion of the Jewish people with all the wealth and stuff like that, are the ones that are, I guess you could say, running all this gig. Freemasonry is just one of their many myriad of secret societies they use within their upper echelons of control.
Oh, yeah.
To maneuver things.
They got so many of them. If you really study the Jewish people, they're basically a people that have integrated themselves through all different parts of peoples and societies, and they just kind of take on the last group that they, pushed their way through. They've made they have so many individual cults that are secret and independent of themselves, like the Druzy people. There's a group of them in Afghanistan. There's groups of them all over the freaking world. There's the Russian Jews. You have, come on, you have all kinds of them that have integrated through all different parts of society, and they. That's
what it meant when it said in the Bible. Because remember, the Bible was a blueprint, it was a business plan. It said God scattered the 12 tribes of Israel across the globe.
Yeah.
So all these people that want to just blanket blame all the Jews and just scapegoat all the Jews are actually kind of falling into a trap, because if they just go after all the Jews, just randomly, then where are all those Jews going to go to? They're going to go to Israel.
Well, yeah. In theory, from what I understand, if you have the correct recorded, Jewish ancestry, you don't even need a passport. You just give your blood and you go right into Israel.
Yeah,
you know. And then so, how is it that there's so many dual citizenships? I mean, there's something like, I forgot what percentage, like 30% of our Senate and congressmen have dual citizenship with Israel. What? Wait a second. You shouldn't be allowed to have dual citizenship.
Nowadays, man, they even started this during the Obama administration. They were promoting on local radio where you could sign up for international or global citizenship.
Oh, really?
Get your global citizenship and all this shit. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the crazy thing. I mean,
That's like get your NWO pass to be a slave today.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you go along with the agenda, if you're willing to support the lies, if you're willing to support the rape, murder, pillage of all kinds of people, you too can be a globalist.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I'm sure that commercial will be out sometime this year.
It's like John Lennon said, right? They're telling you that there's room for you still, but first you must learn how to smile as you kill. You want to be like the folks on the hill, right?
Mm. And you know what? There's so many people that will go along with, they have been so brainwashed, they don't have any guilt about others being harmed or, screwed with or anything else. It's a shame. One of the most disgusting things I've come across is, seeing what these different social engineering programs have done to so many people, that it's made me sick. And it just makes me sick that there's other people out there that just don't give a shit that's even going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll come with all kinds of excuses about, I've heard some of the silliest ones about, we got to be positive, That's just a way of saying, oh, I'm scared to think about this shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're going to positive ourselves right into what they want.
Well,
how can people talk about being positive when they live in a culture that promotes nihilism and narcissism and negativity and not caring about how they treat other people?
They don't understand it.
Well,
these people are so brainwashed.
The one thing they are positive about is that our society is positively fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Positively.
Yeah, that's positively the truth. It is fucked up.
So there's for all you positive people.
Yeah.
That's part of that new age shit too that are trying to push in is positivity, so that you don't call out the big elephant in the room.
That's right. Love and light. Gotta love it. Just look in the light. Follow the light.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot more where you see a lot of these Masonic lodges are offering mouth swabs for children and to collect their DNA in case the children get lost or whatever. And don't give your children's DNA to the Masons, please.
Especially with that, because I've been out walking my dog. This has been a few years ago, man. When I had my other dog, I was out walking in the park, and they had some Shriner program out there where they were promoting RFID chips for your kids so they don't get lost. And
yeah, and people go for that crap. I'm sorry, don't whatever you might be stupid if you give your child's DNA to the Masons.
Yeah,
don't do it.
If they want some DNA, I'm going to help them out. Okay. I'm going to catch myself a frog, or I'm going to go to the store and buy a fish and bring it home and swab its mouth and send them that swab.
I don't know. I see a Mason trying to swab me with anything else. Swab him with an AK in the mouth.
There you go.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, man.
Yeah, they're just, and it's a shame because they're very brainwashed people at the low level. They have no concept of what's going on. No concept whatsoever. It's sad.
And you can't educate people who don't want to learn. I've learned that, so I don't try to.
No, you can't. Well, you can't educate them. Every once in a while you get a Mason that will realize and wake up, but the majority of them don't even realize how. Because they don't see, they're not allowed to be shown the realities of what actually goes on in society because they're led down the wrong path. We're going to help you with your business. I mean, they promote the biggest fool. They don't promote the intelligent people. They promote the fool. So, how are you going to argue with them?
You see that in high school a lot of time. You watch who graduates. It's going to be the biggest airheaded cheerleaders and big dumb shit fucking jocks that, they're not that smart. I mean, any idiot can memorize shit out of a book, to pass a test, and then forget it a week later.
Well, that's, something I said today, I think even on Facebook, is like, grades show no degree of how a person learns. They just show how well somebody memorizes what they've been told. That's all. It's all grades are. It's showing, the level of how well somebody memorizes what they were told. So basically, what it does is, the higher grade means the higher or better order follower a person is. That's all that means. You
think about how that relates to the IQ test. About wants to pray about how important IQ is. And IQ, man, I see that used a lot, man. There are differences between high IQ and low IQ brackets, but it doesn't mean that one's better than the other. I mean, like I said, I've been saying it for a long time. You can have an IQ, you can have a high IQ and be a total fucking retard.
Well, a lot of but there needs to. The problem is the education system, the learning, how people learn is not caressed and nurtured. What's nurtured is the basics of what they want.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
you only got to learn what they want you to learn and nothing more. But hey, I think we're 2 hours in. If you want to call it, we can. It's up to you.
There you go. Oh, I'm going to call it in a minute. Blizzy, for some reason, doesn't want to eat her food, and she's begging me for the whole show. She's been begging me, and apparently I got to cook her something.
It's your dog.
Yeah, she's a little spoiled.
She's a people.
Yeah, mine is too.
Yeah, she's a little people dog.
Yeah.
Just don't forget, Warren, your dog is a people. It graduated to people.
He thinks he is, man. He thinks he's the king, man. Like he'll sit here and roll over on his belly and start shifting around on my bed and making noises. Want me to come over and rub his belly. And if I don't go rub his belly, he'll start crying and whining and fussing about me. Until I go over and rub his tummy and
That's right. That's people.
Well, I don't mind small. Animals do the least harm in this world. You might as well treat them right.
They're smarter than most humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hate to say that, but
a dog, my dog, what you're dealing with a dog right up front. A dog isn't going to sit here and pretend to be your friend just to get something out of you. If a dog doesn't like you, they're going to let you know to your face they don't like you.
Yeah. They're good. They're usually pretty good judges of character. That was always the rule in my house. If my dog didn't like you, you're out.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we'll call it for a show, and I thank you, Warren, for being here.
You're welcome.
And you're welcome to be on any show you want. Tomorrow night we'll be up here with Anna, okay, for TFL topics. Yeah. And of course, Jerry has the same invitation anytime he wants. So, Warren, if you just do what you did tonight, come in the chat and say I'm here, and I'll add you, okay?
All right, we'll do.
Okay, guys, until the next show, you all have a good one.
Toodles.
You too. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.